Hi, I'm Jamie Baulch, Olympic medalist and former world champion, 400 and 400-meter relay. Won multiple medals back in the day and absolutely loved it. I'm an old man now, but yeah, I remember those days well. So I'm gonna crack on into the first question. And this first question, I quite like this one. Would you rather win gold in a slow time or win bronze and smash your personal best? For me, it's all about the gold medals, it's all about the gold medals. It's all about trying to attain as many gold medals as you can. So, for me, I think winning the gold medal at the World Indoor Championships has got to be my favorite one, because that was being the fastest person in the world at the time, which was great in 1999 in Japan. But I think, talking about that is of medals and winning gold and etc. I think one of my favorite races was actually running with you and Thomas at the Commonwealth Games in 1998 in Kuala Lumpur. And I was messing about. I came into the home straight. Ewan was one of the fastest guys on the planet at the time, came into the home straight. And actually, before the race, Ewan said to me, he said, Jamie, if you're with me at 300 meters, I'm going to talk to you. And I thought, you cheeky bugger. I thought, what? You're not going to laugh, mate. And I love you, the bits are good mates. And because he was running so well that year, I don't think he really expected me to be where I was at 300 meters. So I was inside him. I was in like lane 4, he was in lane 5 or 6 or whatever. And basically, I came into the home straight and I turned to him and I said something which I'm not going to say on here because it was a little bit rude. But I turned to him and said what I said, and he looked at me like, I think he was shocked that I was next to him and I actually called him this name. And he was like looking, and so I went, come on. And he was like, come on then. And all the way down the home straight, we were basically messing about. And that day, I think Ewan ran 44.6 and 44.8. So you talk about, would you prefer to win? Yes, of course, I'd love to win gold medals. But I do believe that day at the Commonwealth Games in 1998, if you see video footage after you've watched this, if you get to see that footage, I really believe if I'd come into that home straight and ran hard to the tape, that might have been a European record. So I do go, and my dad, talks about it every now and then, says, if you'd ran hard that day. But, that 400 meters for me was a great memory, and I think everyone loved it. And in fact, when we got back to the Commonwealth Games village, like when you go to the village or wherever, you go back and you have your dinner or whatever, we went into the dinner hall and literally every country just clapped me and Ewan as we walked in. And I think that really showed, what the Commonwealth is all about. So it's all about good camaraderie. So winning gold medals, 100%, smashing personal bests, that's a secondary, I used to do trampolining when I was younger. I was pretty good at gymnastics. In fact, I was good at all sport. The only thing I was rubbish at is football. I played a couple of exhibition football games, and I remember playing against Frank Bruno once, and he was my opposing person. And I remember trying to dribble the ball around him, and he literally grabbed me and threw me, and the whole crowd would laugh their heads off. And I was thinking, and I got up and I wanted to sort of like see if I could knock him out. And I thought, hang on, it's Frank. You can't mess about with Frank, I think if I did grab him, I might not be here to this day. So I'm glad I gave a wide berth. But trampolining, yeah, I did it when I was in college. I got to number 2 in Wales, which was kind of crazy. I was okay at it. I weren't brilliant at it, but I would definitely not consider doing that as a full-time role. I think if I was going to do another sport, it would have been rugby. Absolutely love playing rugby. I was pretty good at it. Do I think I could have represented Wales? Possibly, but we never know now, Do I prefer representing GB or Wales? I've got to be careful about what I say here now, and because it's a GB audience, right? Wales every day of the week. The reason for that, I'm a very passionate Welsh person, and I think putting on that red vest for Wales, I never got to compete for Wales in rugby, and I always go to lots of rugby games. And I think to put that red vest on, you get this real big pride sort of, it's a real amazing feeling of pride. Obviously, I love competing for GB, you know, at the Olympics and whatnot, and that was sensational. But I think the Commonwealth Games for me were, you know, were the ones. Just purely because you're representing your country. It's the only time you really get to represent Wales. And I think it was what I love about the Commonwealth Games as well. I preferred them over the Olympic Games purely because they were more fun. Like I'm watching these Commonwealths now and I'm already laughing at the swimmers thinking, okay, those medalists who've already got medals or whatever, they're out on the beers already. So I know what those swimmers are like. They're like the worst sort of sport ever. I think they train at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning every day. So I think when they get a chance to compete for their countries and they finish, and especially if they get medals, they go hard or they go home, you know. Does the Commonwealth Games still have a place now? And would we miss it if it went? Of course, the Commonwealth Games, I think, to me personally, you know, after the Olympics and the World Championships, I personally preferred the Commonwealth Games over the European Championships. I think it's a brilliant competition to get, you know, lots of countries to compete. It's really good fun. The camaraderie is there. The medals are important too. And I know it had a bit of a lull here and there, but, you know, just already looking at these games, I think it's sort of like really back up there to where it can be. So yes, I would always love to see the Commonwealth Games be out there. And you know, the Commonwealth Games for me was my first competition, senior competition, which was in a long time ago in 1994 in Victoria in Canada. And wow, that was a great competition. I remember. So if there's any young athletes watching this, do not do what me and you and Thomas did, and that was eating steak for breakfast. You know, at the Commonwealth Games, you have the dinner hall, and they have obviously all different countries from around the world with all different foods. I remember me and you and eating steak at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's not really great preparation to enter the competition. And okay, me and you were pretty young then, so we didn't get medals at that championships. But yeah, they're definitely one of my favorite. This is a good question. Do I think I went really too early down the back straight against Alvin Harrison down the back straight at the Olympics? No, is the quick answer to that. I'm going to tell you a story about that. So you and Thomas had an amazing leg on leg one at the Olympics. Around 44 mids, maybe even faster. I can't remember what the time was, but I got the relay band. Olympic Stadium, 100,000 people watching in the stand, 1 billion people watching on TV, and I'm running around the bend like this. And Alvin Harrison is in the inside. We're in lane 5 or something, and Alvin's in lane 4. And as he runs past me, ran the first turn, he goes, "Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby." And I'm thinking, what? He's speaking to me as he's running. I thought, you can't disrespect the British. So I thought, I'm going to get him now. So we went around the first curve. And like I said, he was in America, and Alvin's American, and he was about that far ahead of me. And I thought, I'm going to get you now. So I ran as fast as I could like that. As I ran past him, I went, meet, like Roadrunner. And you see him going, what? Like, so one of the reasons why I ran so fast down the back straight is because I was so cheesed off that he was disrespecting me. And so I just wanted to show him what I got. Unfortunately, he went past me up the home straight. I hit a bit of lactic. But my leg was still really fast. I mean, if you look at the actual splits in the legs, I ran really fast in that race. It's a bit of a shame. The American team were always out there and always going to do well. They were the ones which were the favourite. So I think the result wasn't a bad one. You know, we broke the British, European and Commonwealth record that day, and I think it still stands. Well, the British and European one does. I'm presuming the Commonwealth one does, you know, 6 years later. So it really shows you really of what, you know, we did then, you know. At the time it was amazing, but when I look back, 26 years later, 27, whatever it is, I think to myself, wow, that's insane, right? that we actually ran that fast. So yeah, it was really good. I don't regret anything. It was one of those things, you know. My most productive training session. Bloody hell, it got him so many good ones. I think the ones which I really like doing is the 4x200. So you do a 200, few minutes later, next 200, a few minutes later, next 200. I remember running with, and listen to this one, amazing. I was so lucky to be in this training group. So in this run in training was Linford Christie, John Regis, it was Frankie Fredericks, Darren Campbell, who else was training on that day? But anyway, those names already, right? I'm in lane 2 on the last reps. We run the first one, you know, 24 seconds, second one's 23, 22. The last one, Ron Rodden, our coach, who sort of coached us all under the guidance of Linford Christie, Ron said, okay, I want the bend in 10.5. I went, oh, Ron, I said, my PB's only 10.6. He went, well, you need to run faster than your PB then, didn't you? And I was like, mate, in a training run, I'm in lane 1, Frankie Fredericks 2, Linford 3, Campbell 4. You know, it sounds like an Olympic final, except me, because I wouldn't have made it to the Olympic final over 200 meters. Anyway, Hurtle ran the turn. I'm up, I'm this far up, and I'm running down the home straight. I'm looking left like this. I'm looking right, looking right, and I'm looking like this. I crossed the line first. And as we're approaching the line, I can hear Ron going, 18, 19, 20. I'm thinking, I know that run, I would have run early 20s, 20.4, 20.5 at, you know, at worst. And Linford turned to me and said, yeah, you never run fast. And I was like, what are you on about? I said, what? And he was sort of almost half cursing me out because I was Linford's like thing, right? Anyway, 2 weeks later, I entered the British 200 meters in the indoors, and I won it. I won the British champs in 20.8. My PB indoors is the same for my PB outdoors. So I reckon that day I did run mid-20s. So I don't think I really touched my PBs over 100 and 200 meters. How difficult was it leave to Linford when he was your coach? It was fairly easy, really, because me and Linford are good friends. We were good friends. So it wasn't just a coaching sort of element. It was just a time, you know when the right time is to leave, go to a coach, go to another coach. So for me, it was the right time. I ended up moving to America to train with a guy called Innocent Edbeniki, a Nigerian athlete stroke coach. Unbelievable. I think he ran 10.1, 20.1 and 44.1, I think were his PBs. And you're talking in the 80s, right? So that's when, he's rolling. And Innocent's almost about my height, slightly bigger. So it just made sense for me to go with him because, with him having ran the 400 meters and being so good at it, he was great. The one regret I do have, I wish I could have met him earlier. And that's not saying I wouldn't have liked to have stayed with Colin Jackson, who was a coach at one point, or Linford. But I think what Innocent had over Colin and Linford is the knowledge of how to run a 400 meters. And I wish that if I could have had an amalgamation with maybe Colin, Linford and Innocent all in one bit, I think I would have ran a lot faster over the 400 meters. What Colin did is got me really fit. I got really fit, and I was training for the 100 and 200 meters when I was with Colin. Then I moved across to Linford. And yeah, I just wish I had that more of that 400 meter advice, because I think I might have ran that a little bit better. But hey, who knows? I had a brilliant career and I love it. What was it like racing in front of a packed crowd in Manchester in 2002 at the Commonwealth Games? Wow, amazing. Like these guys now in Birmingham, all the athletes competing there, the home nations, they're going to be loving it. I mean, unfortunately for me in 2002, I got injured. I'd managed to come back for the relay, of which I still think we won, by the way. They say that England beat us by 1,000th of a second. I'm like, really? I think even if you look at footage and you see Daniel Keynes and Matt Elias on the last leg, Matt Elias is coming for Wales, it's coming at the home straight dips. Unfortunately, we lose by a thousandth of a second, so they say. To me, you know, it's an amazing competition. The home crowd's always the best. I think whenever you travel anywhere in the world to do athletics, you've always got a British sort of crowd behind you. And so to have the majority of the people in the stands being British, I can only imagine what these people in Birmingham are going to endure. They're going to absolutely love it. And I think you're going to see lots of personal bests. You know, hopefully the weather will permit, but you know, lots of personal bests. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of people loving it. And for all those people who are just coming into the sport for their first competition, wow, how amazing is that from the UK? And all the people who's going to be their last competitions, what a great way to exit the sport. So yeah, I'm smiling at the sort of relishing that, you know, the opportunities which these guys have got. So it's going to be brilliant. This one now, what do you make of 400 British running now currently, and the success we had in the 1990s? You know, the 400 over the last almost 20 years has taken a lull. 15 years especially, it's taken a bit of a lull. I didn't really realize at the time how magical it was, you know, with people like Roger Black, Ewan Thomas, Mark Richardson, you know, myself, Dwayne Adejo, you know, you name them. There was people running 40, you know, early 45s and coming, you know, not getting anywhere as such, if you know what I mean. And, you know, it was an amazing era. And then the people before me, people like David Grindley, legendary runner, you know, the Chris Akabusis of this world, Derek Redmond, you know, John Regis even floating into I don't know if he floated, but coming into the 400 or the 400 relay. I mean, there were such amazing athletes out there. And I feel we were lucky, and I think success breeds success. And I think that's what the success was all about, is if you didn't run mid 44s, you ain't making the team. You know, I came fourth in the Olympic trials in 44.71, you know, just to give you an example of how fast we were running. And, you know, it was difficult. It was a really difficult period, but the most successful period, you know, still having the British record. I've still got the British indoor record to this day, 25 years on. So we've still got the British outdoor 4x4 relay record, European Commonwealth, you know. So to me, you know, I'm glad I was in that era, and that's no taking away what the guys are doing now, but I'm glad I'm in it. You know, it's great to see Matt Hudson-Smith doing what he's done. I mean, you know, from when I first saw him, I thought, flipping out, this guy's good. And then he lost his way a little bit. And even last year, you know, it was like tough for him. But now he's come back, he's bounced back. And I think he's at the spearhead of 400-meter running in this country. And I think you're going to see a trend of 400-meter runners now starting to do something really special. And that's what I want to see. I want to see our records broken. I want to see people running faster than what we ran like a quarter of a century ago. You know, they should be, with the technology, with the new running spikes, the new surfaces, the new, you know, all this stuff. You know, these people should be pushing on now. So it's really good to see that Matt is, like I said, spearheading that. And I was so delighted to see him get a medal at the World Championships. To me, that was just brilliant. And I think he needed it. The sport needed it in the UK. And I think we've got that. So my last question is my dream 4x400-meter relay team. I had a little think about this one, and you know, how could it not be the team which I was in, which was you know, Ewan Thomas, Mark Richardson, Roger Black, and myself. You know, there may be other athletes out there who've run faster than you know, as individuals, like people, David Grindley, etc. You know, great runner, great relay runner. You know, some brilliant people out there. You know, look at what Chris Akabusi did in 1991. I mean, at the home straight, phenomenal, right? But as I always say, I remember I was at a dinner a year ago with Roger Black, and he was talking about them winning the World Championships and how amazing it was. And I managed to get hold of the mic. I was doing the Roman mic around the room, so passing, you know, the mic round to people. And I said, oh, Roger, I've got a question for you. You know, you're always talking about you winning the World Championships in 1991, but didn't the team you were in 1996 at the Olympic Games actually run faster than that? So to me, you know, yes, we didn't actually win a world championship. Well, we did by default with the mess up and the drug taken by Antonio Pettigrew. So technically we are world champions 13 years later, but we didn't have that success on the day. But to me, you know, we were the fastest and are the fastest team quartet ever in the UK, Europe and the Commonwealth. So I couldn't pick a better dream team. We were a great quartet. We really had some good fun together. We shared some special moments and memories together. So to me, that's got to be the team.